Hey guys, my name is Alexandra Valentine and you're welcome to my YouTube channel. Please, if this is your first time on this channel, kindly give this video a thumbs up, hit on the subscribe button and also hit on the notification bell to get notified whenever I post a new video. In today's tutorial video, we are going to be cutting and drafting this gown with exaggerated hip. This was my own creation and we are just going to get right into the video. So first thing first, this fabric was folded in a fold of two, and now I'm just trying to get my vertical lines. That's my waistline, my under bust line and my bust point line. So the next thing I want to do is to impute my shoulder measurement, which is my shoulder divided by 2, because this fabric is on a fold of 2. So I just put it there, then I came down by 9 inches for the armhole depth, and across that 9 inches I'm marking my shoulder divided by 2 just to get a straight line from the top. So I'm going to connect it all the way to the top and also connect it along the 9 inches mark point. So this is what we have here. So the next thing to do is to rule a line across all other points. That's for your vertical lines, just to get your horizontal line. At this point, you know that we are trying to achieve our basic bodies. If you don't know how to achieve that, there is a detailed video on my channel. Please, I'm just going to link the link it below in the description box. So I have gone ahead to rule my lines. So the next thing to do now um is to get the neck. So the neck width for this particular dress is 2.5. Then for the depth I used 3 inches. For the depth, not necessarily 3 inches, just what works for you. I used 3.5 inches. So I just made my curve around that area. So I'm coming down from the shoulder by 1 inch for my shoulder slant, and I'm going to connect it into the neck area. So this particular dress is going to be a princess cut. So what I'm doing now is what is left of my armhole, that's from our shoulder slant, I'm dividing it into two, and from there I am marking half inch in, then I'll connect it in a straight line to meet the shoulder area. So the next thing to do is to insert my body measurement. That's my round bust measurement divided by 4. I just marked it there. Then I'm going to use my curve ruler to connect it to the other point. I will add the 2 inches that we took out for the bust curve. Now I'm also adding my 2 inches at my bust area. That's my 2 inches allowance. I'm not adding any other extra 2 inches allowance at that bust area. Then I'll go ahead and cut. So for the extension of this, that one will be longer than the other. I've always said this in my previous videos for the making of a princess that you see there. I just had to check. So the lower one is only shorter, and for this one it was shorter than 1 inch. So I just added that 1 inches there, and then reconnect my armhole. Reconnect it into the armhole, so I have a new armhole from there. So for the back, for the drafting of the back, it's just a normal, simple, basic back. So I'm just going to add, this line I'm drawing now is for my zipper allowance, which is 2 inches. Then from the top, I'm marking my waistline. Then from this line that I wrote will be my starting line. Then I'll mark my shoulder. That's where I'm going to start marking my shoulder. I'm going to ignore the other side and mark my shoulder. Then I'm coming down by 9 inches for my armhole depth, just like I did in front. Then I will mark my shoulder again, starting from that line. I'm just putting it 7.5. Then I'll connect it to meet the top point. This is to ensure that the line is in a straight line. I mean, it's uniform. Then I will mark my bust line, and that's all for the back. So I'm going to extend this armhole line so that it will be visible. Then I am going to draw out my other horizontal lines. That's for my bust point and my waistline. I'm just drawing it out. The next thing you want to do is to mark your body measurements at this point. So I'm marking my waist measurements, then I'm adding my 2 inches extra allowance for stitching allowance. Then I am marking my bust plus 2 inches for stitching allowance as well. Then I will connect it to the waist. Now I am going to input my bust measurements, which is 9, so that we'll be able to get our armhole curve. So I'm coming down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant. Then I am marking 2.5 inches width for the neck. Then 1 inch or 1.5 inch depth for the back. The back and the front is not the same thing. Then I will connect my shoulder slant into the neck area. So if you've been watching my channel, my videos, you will notice that this is just a normal basic bodice. So I am going to curve my armhole. I'm just going to curve that point into the armhole line. The thing that I'm doing now is to mark my dart's leg, which is 4 inches. My bust point, my nipple to nipple measurement is 7 inches divided by 2, 3.5 plus half an inch allowance. So I just made a line at that point on the bust point or on the waist area. Then I'm going to connect this into the midpoint of my armhole. Then I'm just going to connect it in a slanted curve because I want this dart to enter into the armhole. So this is what we have here. Then from there I am going to go up from the waistline by 1 inch so that there is no bulkiness around the zip area. I want it to be as flat as possible. So now for the skirt part of this dress, we know that this is an exaggerated hip dress. So first of all, I'm marking my full length from the initial line that I wrote before, which is our starting line. So I'm just going to roll that line to be very visible and long. Then on the starting line, I am going to put my waist measurement divide by 4 there. Then I'll add 2 inches for stitching allowance. Then from there I'm coming down by 9 inches. This is where my hip is situated at, or where my hip is sitting at. So I'm going to mark it, my hip divided by 4 plus 3 inches, because this is an exaggerated hip dress. So I'm just marking my hip divided by 4, which is 9 inches. I'm marking it there. Then I am adding 3 inches for the wideness, then my normal 2 inches for stitching allowance. So I am going to connect it in a curve to meet the waistline. Then I am going to just draw it all the way, or drag it from that hip line all the way to the full length, as you can see. Then from that full length, from the end part, I am going to go up by at least 1 inch so that it will have this round effect. Then I'll just connect it into the same full length. Do you understand? So I'll go ahead now and cut this out, then cut out the back piece as well. The back piece now will be different from this because it's just going to have a little bit, because it's just going to have a zipper allowance. That will be all. Every other cutting will be the same, just that it will have a zipper allowance at the middle. So this is what we have for both the front and the back. You can see the back is being extended at that middle part by 2 inches allowance. So this is the skirt part. Every other part is different, just at this middle part we extended it by 2 inches. So that's the for the front, for the skirt part. So these are the pieces for the front we got earlier. We are just going to go into the sewing part of this dress, and this is the back of the dress as well. So we are going to attach the two sides together, like the two pieces on each side together, and then we'll come back and show you guys what we have next. So the front part has been stitched down. The reason why I did not press a gum stay to this is because the fabric already is very thick. I'm using a Mikado fabric for this. I only press gum stay on the lining part for the down part so that it will have that structure, but I did not do that for the top part. So what I'm going to do now is to stitch the shoulder area and stitch the sides by 2 inches that we added. Then we'll come back and show you guys what we have. Okay, sorry, before that, we already did the same thing for the lining piece. We've cut out the lining piece using the original fabric and then stitch them together just like the same way we did for the original fabric or the main fabric. So whatever we do on the main fabric, that's what we are going to do on the lining part. So I'm stitching down the shoulder as well, and then the sides by 2 inches. I have done that. This is what we have for the main fabric. This is what we have at the end of the day, and this is the lining piece for it. So we'll keep the lining piece aside, and we are going to, before joining the both of them together, we are going to measure the round neck, because this is a turtleneck and it's a high collar turtleneck. So I'm just measuring the round neck, that's from the zipper allowance at the back to all the way around to the other end of the back as well. So whatever I have there, that's what we are going to be working with as the length of our turtleneck. So what I have here is 19 inches. Then I'm just going to carry a fresh fabric or a separate fabric and cut out the collar band, or the band for the collar. So what I'm doing here is I folded this little piece of fabric like in a triangle form, but please make sure that um the folded part is aligned, like it's straight facing you. Do you get? Then I'm just going to rule a straight line on it like this. Then the width of this collar is going to be 1.5 inches, so I'm just going up by that 1.5 inches we have there. Then I will rule the line. So this is the width of this collar. Then the length of the collar would be, because this is on a fold of 2, the length of the collar would be 19 divided by 2, which is at 9.5. So when I'm cutting this, I am like giving a little bit of space at the bottom and also at the top area as well. So this is what I'm talking about. So the length of this fabric right now that I'm working with is around 9.5 or 10 inches. You want to make it to be longer so that it will accommodate what you are working with on the neck area. So this is what we have at the end of the day. You can see it has this little V effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut another piece. I'm going to cut the second piece of this band that we are going to use for the lining, but the same fabric. Do you understand? So I'm just going to cut it out. You might as well want to use your pin, especially when you are working with this type of fabric, because it does not stay one place for absolute order. Just please use your pins. I later use my pins because I realized that I could not actually control it. So I have used my pins to hold it down here. This is at the top part. Then I'm just going to cut out the bottom part and the sides to be equal. Then I'll go ahead to sew it. So this is the two pieces we have. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stitch at the top part here and on the sides. Then I'll come back and show you guys. So at this point I've stitched it. You can see it in place and the pins are no longer there. I'm just going to trim the excess that is at the top, so by the time I flip it, it's going to be balanced. Mind you, this material is very thick. You might want to press, as at the time I was working there was no light, so I really did not press until the end of the whole tutorial. but it actually did came out nice. So by the time you flip it, you want to press to get a very beautiful and clean effect. So I flipped this, and I'm going to attach it on the dress before using the lining to turn it over. And see, because of how thick the fabric is, it's refusing to relax. Like, I'm literally struggling here. But at the end of the day, I just used pins. Since there was no light, I just used pins to hold them down so that I'll be able to work with it. So this is what I did at the end of the day. So this is the band, or the collar, yeah, the band for the collar. So I'm just going to fold this into to get the midpoint, and I'm going to notch it with my scissors a little bit. Just notch it with my scissors a little bit. Then I'll also find the midpoint on the neck area and also notch it a little bit. Then I'll just align it all the way until it gets to the end of the neck. So I have gone ahead to stitch it down with my sewing machine. Sewing machine, my tongue. I've gone ahead to stitch it down with my sewing machine. This is me just cutting out the excess thread that is on that part. So this is the collar now, the collar band on the top without the lining. So the next thing to do is to flip this or turn this over with our lining. So the thing you want to do is to, when attaching it, is the thing you want to do is to align the shoulders first, then the notch area at the midpoint of the neck. Do I make sense? Okay, let me explain as I do this. Let me not be faster than the video. So the first thing to do is to attach, to pin down the shoulder. Make sure that they are aligned, the two shoulders. So I'm pinning it down with my pin first. I have done that. Then I'm just going to drag this to meet the making sure that it's balanced, the center point of the neck. Then I'll also pin it down. Then I will stretch out the remaining fabric, then stitch it down. So I have done that. The most important thing is for the shoulders to be aligned and for it to be meeting the midpoint. So I've stitched this down, and this is what we have here. I also went ahead to also stitch the zipper area, that's the sides, down. So by the time we turn this over, it will just be a clean and neat finish. So I turned this over. Now this is what it's looking like. What we have at the end of the day. So we are going to just keep this top part aside first, and then work for the bottom. Work on the bottom. So this is the skirt part. I've gone ahead to also cut a lining for it and also press a gum stay. As I told you guys earlier, I would have done this on the fabric, but on both the fabric and the lining piece, like pressing gum stay on it. Go. but I did not, because the fabric I was working with was already thick. I don't want it to like to be causing me heat by the time I put it on. So I only did that for the bottom part of the dress to have structure. So the first thing I'm doing here is to um align the skirt and the line, that's the front part and the lining piece, then just stitch down the hem part. So I've done that already, you can see. So I am going to flip this over so that the front part will be showing. What we have, right? Then at the top part here, to hold this down from it for to avoid it to be moving, I'm just going to stitch that top area. You can see I've done that already. So I'm going to take the two back pieces and we are going to work on that. So what I'm doing now, I'm arranging the back piece. You can see this is the lining part of it. So I am going to put this lining part on the down, like on the bottom, making sure that the lining is facing the front part of the lining. That's the back of the part of the lining. The front part of it is facing the front part of the front. I don't know how to explain it. Like, just put the lining under. Yes, let it just be facing each other. You get. Then the back piece, I am going to put it on top, place it on top like this. Then I'll use 2 inches stitching allowance I added earlier and stitch this down. Then when I get to the base or the hem part of it, I am going to stitch across it like this without adding the front part, so it will enable you to flip it over. So I'm just going to like turn this over. I've already stitched it down. So this is what I have. Okay, this is the back part. This is what I have. You can see there is a clean finishing each side. I really don't know what best way to explain this, but in case you don't understand, you can always watch the video again. So this is very simple and easy. I have gone ahead to do the other side of the skirt. So you can see the inside. There is no it's very clean and like it was neat. It is neatly finished. So this is for the skirt part of this dress. So the next thing to do is to attach the up and the down together. I would have done this an instant finishing, but I want it to be easy for me to make adjustments, maybe in case I increase. So I'm not going to do that. So what I'm doing now is I'm just aligning the front together, then I'm going to stitch the other side as well. So this is what I have done. This is the finished result. You can see this is coming out very well. This is the up part and this is the down part. We have attached them together. So this is what we have. So the next thing to do now is to add my decoration and my zip, then my sleeve. That's just it. So I wanted to do a Wells pocket, but my fabric was really not enough for me to do that. So I decided to just add the design you saw at the front for it not to be plain. So this is what we have at the end of the day. Thank you guys for watching. Please, if you find this tutorial very helpful, please kindly give this video a thumbs up, hit on the notification bell to get notified whenever I post a new video, and also join the family by subscribing. Bye.